Hello, New York Giants or NFL fans. Welcome to a new video here on the Giant Take Podcast YouTube channel. I am Josh, and I am here in this video to talk a little bit about New York Giants head coach candidate Lou Anarumo. He is, if anyone doesn't know, the Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator. I'm going to get into a little bit about his interview with the New York Giants that happened when I'm recording this morning, Sunday, January 23rd. And his history, coaching in the NFL and also in college, and go into a little bit about my personal preference and my feelings towards him. I feel like I've done two of these videos so far on Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, and Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills. And I think I sort of given my opinion, but not so much. So I'm going to talk about those two guys at the end, what I think about them, then also what I think here about Anarumo, because I think, my opinion is somewhat valid here. I am recording this video, so I feel like I should give that towards the end, and you hear my thoughts on it. And then I also want to hear your thoughts. So please comment below what you guys think of Lou Anarumo. And if he's the right fit for the New York Giants. If you don't know much about him, listen and let me know what you think based on what you hear about Anarumo. Okay, so let's first start out with today. This morning, like I said, they held a teleconference interview with Anarumo, the Bengals defensive coordinator and the first candidate with ties to the New York Giants. So he was on Pat Shurmur's staff in 2018. As we know, Shurmur did not really work out with the Giants. He was given a chance. But yeah, it just didn't really work out with the team. He served as the defensive backs coach of the Giants in his only year with the team. That was from the New York Post. His Bengals defense this season was 17th in the NFL, but we do know how good they have been so far in these playoffs. Really stepped up and helped lead the Bengals to the championship game that is going to be happening next weekend, allowing 22.1 points per game. And against the Raiders, they were able to advance to the AFC championship game. So good for them. And the Bengals defeated the Raiders 26-19 and the Titans 19-16, to advance to the AFC championship game. Funny enough, though, Bengals fans are actually calling for him to be fired after how bad the Bengals were last season. We had the whole Joe Burrow injury thing. The man was out for most of the season. Unfortunate injury there. But that's how things go. And I just think that's something to consider because of how, the defense has been good. They stepped up. They were 17th, so it's kind of like in the middle. During the postseason, though, they definitely have stepped up. So an interesting, I know I said that two times, head coaching interview. It's actually his first interview with the team so far for a head coaching job. He's 55 years old. He actually grew up in Staten Island, so another sort of New York native. New Jersey native, whatever you want to call it. Dan Quinn grew up in New Jersey. He grew up in Staten Island. And who else was it? Brian Flores grew up, I want to say, in Brooklyn. I think we're figuring out there. I don't think Daboll or Frazier grew up in the New York, New Jersey area, although I could be wrong. So the college, so let's go into Anarumo and his history as a coach. So he went to Wagner College, which is where his first job came from, not surprising there. In 1989, he was the running backs coach. He then went on to go to Syracuse from 1990 to 1991. And I think I've mentioned this in every single video, but I'm looking kind of to the side. It's because I'm looking at my phone, which I have everything listed. And so that's why, for anyone confused, at Syracuse from 1990 to 1991, yeah, he was a graduate assistant and the assistant defensive backs coach. Then from 92 to 94, he was the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. He was with them as the defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach as well. He then went to coach Harvard from 95 to 2000. He was the assistant head coach there, defensive back coach, and special teams. So three things that he was able to do with Harvard. Then he went to Marshall from 2001 to 2003. He was the defensive backs coach there. So as you can tell, the defensive backs coach was a big role that he played in his early first few seasons in college. He then went to Purdue to be their defensive backs coach from 2004 to 2011. Then he finally got promoted to the NFL, starting with the Miami Dolphins in 2012 to 2017 as their defensive backs coach, was able to kind of fill in as the interim defensive coordinator in the 2015 season as well. Then he came to the New York Giants, was their defensive backs coach in 2018. And with the Cincinnati Bengals, he got promoted to the defensive coordinator position from 2019 on. So again, a pretty good history. He's been in the league for a while now, since all the way back in 2012. It's been a long run, almost 10 years. Although I want to say, okay, now after reading that, I want to say this is what the Giants put out in their experience things to note of. So they said current position is the Bengals defensive coordinator, 10 season as an NFL coach, third with Cincinnati. Spent 2018 as a Giants defensive backs coach when he helped the defense rank 7th in the NFL in interceptions and 10th in opponents passer rating. Defensive back for the Dolphins and served in 12 games. That's enough. Okay. I mean, they have experience. One of the things saying native of Staten Island. I mean, that's a great thing, info about him, but that's not experience at all. So here's my thoughts on Anarumo. I guess maybe it had to do with Shane saw the good things that the Bengals were doing, like the okay average things that the defense they were doing in the season. There has to be a spark in there somewhere that we don't know, unless it was just because he was with the team before and Shane wanted to give him a second chance. I think it was kind of Mara. Maybe it was Mara saying, "Hey, Shane, interviewed this guy who's a former, formerly with the Giants. I like him. Take a look into him," or something of that nature, that a Giants staff member liked him so much they wanted to bring him back for an interview, because I have no other reason why he would come back. There's nothing too special about him. And I'm going to be honest, I do not want him as a Giants head coach. I think the Giants should go a little bit more offensive minded. We have the guy in Pat Graham who actually should be coming in for a head coaching interview, hopefully sometime this week, or at least it's expected to interview for the head coaching position. So if we keep him, whether he goes to the head coach or not, if there's a defensive coordinator that I want to become the head coach, it's not Dan Quinn and it's not Lou Anarumo, it's Pat Graham. If Pat Graham doesn't become the head coach, hopefully he stays as the defensive coordinator. And then we have an offensive coordinator or an offensive mind come in as the head coach, and then they can call the plays and handle everything offensively. As Jason Garrett didn't do the job right, Freddie Kitchens didn't do the job right. And whenever Joe Judge was thinking between the both of them, he didn't do right either on offense. So I think if there's a defensive coach to bring in, a defensive coordinator bring in, it's Pat Graham. Not really anyone else, unless there's someone really good that you're going to bring up. And then I want to talk about a little bit of these other candidates that the Giants have officially came out and interviewed, right? They released a statement that they've interviewed them. And that's been Brian Daboll and Leslie Frazier. Daboll, he's my top of the list out of these three guys. He's a very good coordinator. You're probably seeing, or you already saw the game by the time this video is out, the Chiefs versus Bills game. Right now, he's a very good play caller. He's helped in Josh Allen's progression, made him look really good. I think the same thing with Stephon Diggs, although he was a really good receiver when he came to the Bills anyway. But he's a really good offensive coordinator. He's top of my list. Then it goes Leslie Frazier. I think what Frazier's been able to do with the Bills this season, if you haven't already, please go check out that video. It was a really good recap or overview on him, and he's done really well with his Bills defense. I think he doesn't get as much credit as he should. I feel like the Bills defense is sort of slept on, and maybe that's a big statement to make, but I do feel that way. So it goes Daboll 1, Frazier 2, and then this Anarumo, the defensive coordinator for the Bengals 3. So again, let me know what your thoughts on Anarumo in the comments are. Dan Quinn is supposed to be coming in for an in-person interview tomorrow. So I should have a video up either tomorrow or Tuesday about Mr. Dan Quinn and, his little head coach candidate overview. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. Also give a like on the video. And thank you so much for watching. And I will see you next time for another video here on the Giant Take Podcast YouTube channel. Peace.